My girlfriend admitted I'm just a temporary option to pay for her whims until she gets bored, so I said okay and cut her off completely, leaving her to realize nobody even wants her anymore. My name is Tyler, and I'm 28 years old. This whole situation happened a few months back, and I thought I should share it since many of you might relate to what I went through. It's one of those stories that starts out normal, but takes some pretty wild turns by the end. I was dating this girl Jessica for about 3 years. She was 22 when we met through my buddy's girlfriend at some rooftop party in downtown Miami. Jessica was one of those people who could walk into any room, and suddenly everyone would start gravitating toward her. She had this super outgoing personality and was always down for whatever adventure came up. She was pretty much the total opposite of my more chill, laid-back personality. The first year together was honestly pretty great. She got me out of my comfort zone in ways I never expected. She dragged me to concerts I never would have gone to on my own, made me try sashimi for the first time. Still hate it, but whatever. And even convinced me to start going to Pilates classes because she was really into fitness. Yeah, I became that guy doing planks next to a bunch of soccer moms at 6:30 in the morning. Don't judge me for it. My dad Frank thought the whole Pilates thing was absolutely hilarious. Pilates? Really? What's next, kombucha cleanses? He'd say whenever it came up. My dad has been my best friend since my mom died when I was 14. He raised me alone and taught me electrical work, which became my career. He never remarried because, as he put it, one woman trying to change him was enough for one lifetime. He's got this way of saying exactly what everyone's thinking, but is too polite to say out loud. Around the second year of our relationship, things started shifting in a direction I didn't really like. Jessica would disappear for entire weekends on these girls' trips that seemed to happen every other week. She started following a bunch of festival influencers on Instagram and was always talking about this amazing party in Atlantic City, or that underground music thing in Orlando. She made friends with this whole crew who were all about that live your best life energy. You know the type. They were always posting Instagram stories with those generic motivational quotes overlaid on sunset pictures. The ringleader of this group was her friend Madison. This girl was like the devil on Jessica's shoulder, except she wasn't even subtle about it. Madison was 24 and worked some vague marketing job that apparently paid well enough for her to hit up every major festival on the East Coast. She had this way of making every conversation about how Jessica was too young to be tied down and needed to have fun in her 20s while she still could. My dad met Madison exactly once at a barbecue I hosted, and he immediately sized her up with that uncanny ability he has for reading people. That one's trouble, he told me later. She's got dead eyes and the personality of a motivational poster. As usual, he wasn't wrong about his assessment. Madison would text Jessica constantly about parties, trips, and what she called opportunities that were too good to pass up. Jessica would get these messages, and suddenly our plans would change completely. What started as a planned date night would become, "Oh, Madison found this amazing warehouse party we have to check out." Or, "Madison's friend knows a promoter who can get us into this exclusive thing downtown." It was like Madison had some kind of magical power over Jessica's decision-making process. The conversation that completely nuked everything between us happened about 5 months ago on what seemed like just a random Wednesday night. We were sitting at my kitchen table eating the pasta I had made. Yeah, I cook, and I'm pretty good at it, so fight me on that. I brought up my friend Chris's wedding that was coming up in September and asked if she wanted to be my plus one. "Want to be my date? It's going to be pretty fun," I said, trying to sound casual about it. "Open bar, good music, and Chris has been planning this thing forever. It should be a great time." She literally laughed in response. Not like a cute giggle or anything sweet, but this full-on laugh like I'd just asked her to help me move a couch up 3 flights of stairs. "September? Dude, that's like 4 months away," she said, still chuckling. "Who knows where we'll even be then?" I put my fork down and looked at her directly. "What do you mean, where we'll be?" She took a sip of her wine, this $22 bottle she had insisted we needed because it was organic or some nonsense like that, and looked at me like I was being incredibly dense. "Tyler, let's be real here," she said, with this tone that made my stomach drop. "This is fun and all, but I'm not ready to settle down yet. I'm 22 years old. I want to travel, meet new people, and experience things. I don't want to be tied down planning weddings and doing all that coupley stuff that comes with serious relationships." I felt this weird calm wash over me as I asked, "So what am I to you exactly?" Here's where it gets really good. She actually sat there and thought about it for a moment, took another sip of her wine like she was contemplating world peace or something equally profound, and then delivered the line, that changed everything. "You're comfortable and safe," she said matter-of-factly. "You're like a security blanket for me. You're the kind of guy I'll come back to when I'm ready for all that serious stuff. But right now, you're kind of just a phase while I figure out what I really want from life." Just a phase. Those words hit me like I was in that scene from Goodfellas, where Henry's in the restaurant and everything goes completely quiet around him. A phase. "Don't take it the wrong way," she continued, apparently not noticing that I had gone completely silent. "It's not you personally or anything like that. I'm just not done having fun yet. When I'm like 26 or 27, I'll be ready for the whole settling down thing. Marriage, kids, whatever boring stuff people do when they get old. And you just assume I'll wait around for you?" I asked. She shrugged like we were discussing what to watch on Netflix rather than the future of our 3-year relationship. "Why wouldn't you? We're good together, Tyler. I just need to get this party phase out of my system first. You'll still be here doing your electrician thing, making decent money, being stable and reliable. That's what you're good at." In that moment, I realized I was literally just a bookmark in her life story. Something she could close and come back to when she finished reading the fun chapters and was ready for the boring epilogue. "Good to know where I stand," I said quietly. "Don't be dramatic about it," she replied, rolling her eyes. "I'm being honest with you, which is more than most girls would do. Most guys would appreciate that instead of me lying and stringing them along for years." "You're absolutely right," I said. "I do appreciate the honesty." She smiled like she had just successfully negotiated world peace and went back to scrolling through Instagram, looking at some influencers' vacation photos from Belize. "See? You get it. You're mature like that, Tyler." That night, I made a decision that would change everything about how I approached our relationship. But first, I needed to call my dad and get his perspective on what had just happened. "She said what now?" His voice was completely flat when I told him, which I knew meant he was absolutely pissed. My dad doesn't do emotional outbursts or dramatic reactions. Instead, he gets quiet and dangerous when something really bothers him. "I'm just a phase, a placeholder until she's ready for the real thing," I repeated, still trying to process it myself. "Well, congratulations," he said in that dry way of his. "You just got handed the best information you could possibly get about this situation. Most people waste years trying to figure out what you just learned in one conversation." "What do you mean by that?" "She told you exactly who she is and what you mean to her. Believe her when people show you their true colors like that," he said. "Now act accordingly." If I was just a phase, a placeholder until she was ready for serious stuff, then I decided I would start acting exactly like it. No drama, no begging, no emotional manipulation. Just cold, practical adjustments to match the reality she had laid out for me. I started implementing this new approach that very weekend. She wanted to hit up some warehouse party downtown that Madison had discovered through her network of party connections. "Come on, it'll be amazing," Jessica said excitedly. "The DJ is supposed to be incredible, and Madison knows someone who can get us VIP access." "Nah, I'm good tonight." "Have fun, though," I replied casually. She was surprised by my response, but also clearly pleased that she would have more freedom to do whatever she wanted without me there. "Finally! I was starting to think you were getting clingy and possessive," she said, with obvious relief. What she didn't know was that I had started using those weekends when she was out partying for something way more productive than sitting around feeling sorry for myself. The first thing I did was stop investing in our relationship in any meaningful way. Not in some petty revenge way, but just practically speaking. Why would I invest time, money, and energy into something that was explicitly temporary? I stopped buying groceries for her place because, honestly, why would I stock someone's fridge if I was just a temporary placeholder? I stopped making an effort to meet her party friends or get to know Madison's crew, because why would I network with people I'd never see again once Jessica decided to move on to her next phase? She didn't notice these changes at first because she was too busy living her best life with Madison as her personal hype woman. Every weekend became some new adventure for Jessica. Pool parties, music festivals, spontaneous road trips to Orlando or Tampa. Her Instagram became this constant highlight reel of shots at rooftop bars and dancing at venues I'd never even heard of. Meanwhile, I quietly started rebuilding my life around what I actually wanted rather than what I thought we wanted together. I signed up for that woodworking class I'd been putting off for years, telling myself I was waiting for the right time or for us to have more free time together. Turns out, I'm actually pretty decent with a table saw when I put my mind to it. I joined this hiking group that met every Saturday morning, usually when Jessica was hungover from whatever she'd done on Friday night. I also started volunteering at the local community center, teaching basic coding to kids who were interested in learning technology skills. But the biggest move I made was deciding to finally start house hunting. I'd been saving money for years from my electrical jobs, always telling myself I was waiting for the right time, or for us to be ready to take that step together. Well, if there was no us in my future plans, why was I sitting around waiting? I found this incredible fixer-upper in Coral Springs that caught my attention immediately. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a huge backyard that had amazing potential. The place needed serious work, but it had what my dad calls good bones. Built in 1958, it still had the original hardwood floors and this absolutely sick mid-century modern fireplace that was the centerpiece of the living room. The kitchen was straight out of the 1980s, with outdated appliances and countertops, and the bathroom had these seafoam green tiles that were probably trendy decades ago. But I could see the potential in every room. The inspection turned up some interesting surprises that actually worked in my favor. The original copper plumbing was in better shape than most modern houses I'd worked on through my electrical jobs. The electrical panel needed a complete overhaul, but everything else was structurally solid. The foundation hadn't shifted even an inch in all 65 years, which was impressive for a house that age. My dad came with me to look at the property and give me his professional opinion. He walked around the entire house for about 15 minutes, methodically checking the foundation, examining the electrical panel, and testing the water pressure in all the fixtures. "Roof's solid, the foundation's good," he said after completing his inspection. "Electrical needs some work, but nothing major that we can't handle ourselves. You'd be stupid not to buy this place if the price is right. You really think I can handle all the renovation work this place is going to need? Kid, I've been teaching you this stuff since you were 10 years old," he said with a laugh. "Plus, I'm not dead yet. I can still swing a hammer and wire outlets when you need the help." The previous owners had been this elderly couple who'd lived there for 45 years. They had kept everything original but maintained it perfectly throughout the decades. They even left behind this incredible workshop in the garage, complete with a vintage workbench and tools from the 1960s that were still in excellent condition. When my dad saw that workshop, he nearly had a heart attack from excitement. "These tools are worth more than your down payment," he said, running his hands over the vintage equipment. "This is like finding buried treasure." I put in an offer on the house without saying a single word to Jessica about it. She was at Ultra Music Festival with Madison at the time, posting Instagram stories of herself covered in glitter and dancing to DJs I'd never heard of. I got the text message that my offer had been accepted while she was sending me videos of some art installation shaped like a giant flamingo. "Miss you, babe," she texted. "This is incredible. Can't wait to tell you about it when I get back." "Have fun," I texted back simply, then went back to reviewing the inspection report with my dad. "So, when are you going to tell Princess Partygirl about the house?" he asked with a knowing grin. "Why would I tell her? She's not going to be living in it," I replied. Dad's grin got even wider. "That's my boy!" The hiking group I had joined was where everything really started clicking into place for me. Every Saturday at 7:30 a.m., we'd meet at different trailheads around the city and explore various parts of the local wilderness. It was way better than sleeping off hangovers until 2 p.m. like I used to do when Jessica was out partying and I was waiting around for her to recover. That's where I met Nicole. She's a personal trainer, 25 years old, and has this really dry sense of humor that caught me completely off guard during our first interaction. The first real conversation we had was about trail mix, of all things. "Whoever decided raisins belong in trail mix clearly hates joy," she said, while picking them out of her bag with obvious disgust. "Finally, someone with sense. Raisins are just disappointed grapes," I replied. "Oh man, that's dark. I like it," she said with a laugh that was way more genuine than anything I'd heard in months. We started hiking together more often after that, just as friends at first since I was technically still in a relationship with Jessica. Even though Jessica had made it crystal clear that I was just holding her place in line until she was ready for something serious, I wasn't ready to completely blow up my life just yet. Nicole turned out to be incredibly helpful when I was making decisions about the house renovation. She has really good taste in design, and somehow knows way more about home improvement than someone who spends all day working at a gym should reasonably know. "Why do you know so much about grout selection and tile patterns?" I asked, while we were wandering around Home Depot looking at bathroom renovation options. "My dad's a contractor. I spent summers working for him instead of going to summer camp like other kids," she explained. "I learned more about plumbing and electrical work than most guys I train at the gym." She wasn't exaggerating about her knowledge. The first day Nicole came over to help with the house. My dad was there installing new kitchen cabinets. I was nervous about them meeting each other, but I shouldn't have been worried at all. "You must be Nicole," Dad said without looking up from the level he was using to make sure everything was perfectly straight. "Tyler's told me about you." "All good things, I hope," Nicole replied. "Yeah, he said you have strong opinions about tile choices. That's either very good or very bad for this project." Nicole laughed. "Depends on the tile, but yeah, I definitely have opinions about most things related to home improvement. I like her already," Dad said to me, then turned back to Nicole. "Can you hand me that drill over there? And while you're at it, tell me what your position is on subway tile. Timeless but overused, good for resale value but boring for actually living in the space," Nicole answered without hesitation. "Yep, I definitely like her," Dad said with approval. Nicole's construction knowledge turned out to be completely legitimate and incredibly valuable. She showed up the next weekend with her own tool belt and immediately spotted a major problem with the kitchen layout that would have cost me thousands of dollars to fix later if I hadn't caught it early. "You can't put the dishwasher there unless you reroute that gas line," she said, pointing to where the plans showed the appliance placement. "See how the gas line runs right behind where you want the cabinet to go? That's going to be a problem." Dad was genuinely impressed by her knowledge and attention to detail. Meanwhile, I was starting to fall for her in a way that felt completely different from anything I'd experienced with Jessica. While all this was happening, Jessica's party phase was escalating to new levels. Her Instagram posts were getting increasingly wild, with photos of her with random guys at festivals and clubs, always captioned with things like "making memories with new friends" or "life's too short to say no to adventures." Madison would comment on every single post with encouragement like, "Yes, queen. This is what your 20s should look like." My dad saw one of Jessica's posts when I was scrolling through my phone during a lunch break from working on the house. "God, she looks like she's about to overdose on attention," he said, shaking his head. "What's her end game here? Does she have any kind of plan, or is she just partying until she burns out?" "I don't think she has an end game. Madison's got her convinced this is what happiness looks like," I replied. The moment that really sealed my decision about moving forward happened at the community center where I was volunteering. I was teaching this 14-year-old kid named Kevin some basic Python programming when his mom came to pick him up after the session ended. "You're really good with kids," she said, watching me explain one last concept to Kevin before he left. "Do you have any children of your own?" "Not yet, but someday I'd like to," I answered honestly. "Your girlfriend's really lucky. Guys who are good with kids and actually want to be fathers are pretty rare these days." I almost laughed out loud at the irony. My girlfriend was currently somewhere in the Arizona desert with Madison, probably rolling on Molly at some festival, explicitly not wanting kids or anything domestic like commitment or responsibility. That night, I decided it was time to have the conversation I'd been avoiding. I texted Jessica, "We need to talk when you get back from the festival." Her response came back almost immediately. "Ooh, sounds serious. You're not about to propose or something, are you? Because that would be super awkward given everything we've talked about." She added about 5 laughing emojis to really drive the point home. "Yeah, definitely not proposing," I texted back. Jessica got back from lightning in a bottle 3 days later, looking like she'd been through an actual sandstorm. She was sunburned, completely exhausted, and smelling like patchouli oil mixed with regret. She came over to my apartment, and I still hadn't mentioned anything about the house I'd bought. Madison had apparently stayed in Atlantic City for some after-party that was supposedly too epic to miss, so at least Jessica was coming alone to this conversation. "So what's this big, serious talk about?" she asked, flopping down on my couch. "Please tell me you're not about to get all weird and clingy on me. I had such an amazing time at the festival, and I really don't want to kill this good vibe I've got going." "Actually, I wanted to thank you," I said. She looked completely confused. "Thank me for what exactly?" "For being honest about what you think of me and our relationship. It really clarified a lot of things for me." She looked uncomfortable for the first time in months. "I didn't mean any of that in a bad way, Tyler. I know exactly how you meant it. You want to have fun now and settle down later when you're ready. I completely respect that decision, but I've realized that I don't want to be anyone's phase or placeholder. So let's end this clean while we can still be civil about it." "Wait, what? You're breaking up with me?" The shock in her voice was genuine. "We're breaking up with each other. You want to be free to live your life, and I want to be with someone who values me right now, not eventually. It's a win-win situation for both of us." She was genuinely shocked by this turn of events. This wasn't how the script was supposed to go in her mind. I was supposed to wait around like a loyal golden retriever, just happy and grateful whenever she decided to come home. But we're good together, Tyler. We work as a couple. I mean, you're perfect for me. Eventually. Eventually. That's the key word there that you keep using. You're totally overreacting to this whole thing. I just need some time to figure out what I want from life. God, you're being so dramatic about something that's not even that serious. Take all the time you need to figure things out, just not on my schedule anymore. This is ridiculous, you know what? Fine, if that's how you want to be about it, she said, getting angry now. But don't come crawling back to me when you realize you just threw away something really good. Most girls wouldn't even be honest about this kind of stuff like I was. She left my apartment angry and confused, and within an hour she was posting Instagram stories with inspirational quotes about knowing your worth and men who can't handle strong, independent women who know exactly what they want from life. That was perfectly fine with me. I had crown molding to install and a life to build. I called my dad afterward to let him know that the breakup was officially done. How'd she take the news? He asked. About as well as you'd expect. Lots of dramatic quotes on social media about men who can't handle honesty. Good for you. Are you coming over tomorrow? That crown molding isn't going to install itself, and I want to get it finished before the weekend. After the breakup, Jessica went into full party overdrive mode. Her Instagram became this non-stop highlight reel of clubs, festivals, and adventures with Madison and their crew. Every single post was about her newfound freedom and living authentically without being held back by anyone. Meanwhile, I was working on my new house, and the hiking group had become my weekly therapy session. Nicole and I were hanging out more often, still just as friends, but we were becoming really good friends. She helped me pick out a new refrigerator when my ancient one finally died, and we spent an entire Saturday at appliance stores arguing about whether stainless steel or black stainless steel would look better. Black stainless shows fingerprints less, she pointed out while we were comparing models. But regular stainless steel matches the dishwasher I already bought, I countered. Fair point. Also, the fact that you actually bought a dishwasher before you had a fully working kitchen shows you're very optimistic about this whole project. Dad was there too, of course, adding his commentary to our debate. He's been optimistic about dumb stuff his whole life, he said. At least this time, it's actually useful optimism. Nicole started spending more time at the house helping with various projects and just hanging out. Dad treated her like she'd been part of the family for years, which was his way of showing approval without actually saying it directly. Nicole, can you hold this level steady while I mark these spots? Dad asked during one of our kitchen renovation sessions. Sure thing, Frank, she replied. Good. Tyler, your girlfriend has steadier hands than you do. She's not my girlfriend yet, I said automatically. I heard that yet, Nicole said with a grin. Frank, did you hear that? He said yet. I heard it too, Dad replied. Excellent. Now both of you shut up and help me install this cabinet properly. But apparently Madison was keeping close tabs on my social media activity and reporting everything back to Jessica like some kind of intelligence operative. I would post completely normal stuff. Pictures from hiking trips, photos of the kids at the coding camp I was volunteering with. My attempt at making homemade gnocchi that was an epic failure, but hilarious to document. This bothered Jessica because it meant I was doing perfectly fine without her, which apparently wasn't part of her master plan. Madison started commenting on my posts with passive-aggressive nonsense like, "Wow, someone's really embracing the single life. Good for you!" And, "Hope you're not just posting the highlights while you're actually miserable inside." After the third comment like this, I blocked her completely. I didn't need that kind of negativity cluttering up my social media. Then Jessica started showing up places where she knew I'd be. The coffee shop I went to every Sunday morning, the gym I used during the week, and she even showed up at the community center claiming she wanted to volunteer with the kids. Tyler! Wow, funny running into you here, she said, acting like it was a complete coincidence, even though she'd never shown any interest in volunteering before. Hey Jessica, I'm here to volunteer with the kids' coding program, I replied neutrally. Yeah, totally. I love kids. I really want to give back to the community, you know? Show them there's more to life than just working all the time. The program coordinator started asking Jessica about her availability and what skills she could offer. Suddenly, she remembered that she had a trip to Cancun planned with Madison, then a festival in Colorado after that, then a girls' weekend in Atlantic City. She never came back to volunteer again, tear. But the real explosion happened when Jessica found out about the house I'd bought. She didn't hear it from me directly. She found out from our mutual friend Chris, who had helped me move my couch and some other furniture. My phone absolutely blew up with messages from her. You bought a house? When were you going to tell me about this? I can't believe you made that kind of major decision without me. We talked about buying a house together. That last message made me actually laugh out loud. We had never, not even once, talked about buying anything together. She had specifically told me she wasn't ready to settle down or make any serious commitments. I finally responded. I bought a house for my future. You made it very clear you weren't part of that future, so why would I consult you about it? Because we were together for 3 years. That's a huge decision that affects both of us. We're past tense. Your choice, remember? You're being such a dick about this whole situation. It's not like I said I never wanted to be with you. You said I was a phase, a placeholder until you were ready for the real thing. Those were your exact words. She tried calling me like 18 times after that exchange. I was busy helping Nicole plant tomatoes and herbs in my new backyard. Turns out she knows everything about gardening too, which shouldn't have surprised me at that point. That night, Jessica went completely nuclear on social media. She posted this long, rambling rant about men who make major life decisions in secret and can't communicate properly in relationships. Madison, posting from what was obviously a new fake account, was all over the comment section, backing her up and calling me manipulative and clearly threatened by Jessica's independence. Her whole squad rallied around her in the comments, saying I was shady and deceptive for not telling her about major life decisions. The irony wasn't lost on me at all. The woman who had told me I was just a temporary phase in her life was now furious that I had planned a permanent future without consulting her. Things stayed relatively quiet for about a month after that social media explosion. I was living in the house full-time now, still doing renovations, but everything was completely livable. The vegetable garden that Nicole had helped me plant was actually producing food. Life was genuinely good in a way it hadn't been in years. Nicole and I had started dating officially around this time. We took it slow, but it felt different from day one. She talked about future plans like I was obviously going to be there for them. She made dinner reservations 2 weeks out without hedging or adding qualifiers about where we might be in our relationship by then. It was weird how refreshing that kind of certainty was after years of Jessica's constant uncertainty. Dad loved watching Nicole and me together. This is what normal looks like, he told me one day while we were installing new baseboards in the living room. No drama, no games, no wondering where you stand. Just two people who actually like each other and want to spend time together. It's really nice, I said. Nice? That's the best description you can come up with? It's not just nice, Tyler, it's healthy. There's a big difference between nice and healthy. Then Jessica's 23rd birthday hit, and apparently, it triggered some kind of major existential crisis for her. Her Instagram posts shifted dramatically from party pictures to inspirational quotes about new chapters and personal growth. The posts became more philosophical and less about shots at bars, focusing more on authentic living and finding yourself. She texted me out of the blue. Hey, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. Can we talk? I was curious enough about what she wanted to say yes to meeting her. We met at this neutral coffee shop downtown, one of those places with exposed brick walls and overpriced lattes that tries way too hard to be trendy. She looked different when she walked in, less like a party girl and more tired, like she'd been running on fumes and adrenaline for months and had finally run completely out of gas. Thanks for meeting me. I know things ended weird between us, she started. What's going on, Jessica? I've been thinking about what I really want from life, like really thinking about it seriously for the first time, she said. And I realize I was being immature before about everything. I'm ready now. Ready for what exactly? To settle down, to be serious about a relationship and a future together. She said it like she was doing me some kind of enormous favor, like I should be grateful that she had finally decided I was worth her time and attention. So, because you're ready now, I should just be available and waiting? I asked. We were good together, Tyler. You know we were, she said earnestly. I just needed time to grow up and experience some things. Now I have, and I know what I want from life. And what made you think I was just sitting around waiting for you to figure things out? Because you loved me. I know you did. That kind of love doesn't just disappear overnight, she said confidently. Plus, let's be realistic here. You're an electrician. It's not like you have tons of options out there. Even now, even when she was supposedly trying to win me back, she was still talking down to me like I should be grateful for her attention. You're right about one thing. I did love you, past tense, I said calmly. You told me I was just a phase in your life, so I acted accordingly. I didn't mean it like that when I said it. You meant it exactly like that. You wanted to party and have fun without me, then settle for me when you were done. Like I was some kind of retirement plan. She started crying, but they weren't sad tears. They were frustrated tears from someone who wasn't getting what they wanted. So what? You're punishing me now? Is that what the house was about? To hurt me? The house is about building my future. A future that you explicitly said you didn't want to be part of yet, I replied. I took you at your word and acted accordingly. I saw you with that girl on Instagram, the trainer. Is this whole thing about her? Nicole. Her name is Nicole. And no, this isn't about her, I said. It's about me choosing to be with someone who doesn't see me as something to settle for when she's done having fun. That statement hit home hard. She physically flinched like I'd slapped her. I never said I would settle for you. Settling down with me was something you'd do when you were done having fun. Those were your exact words, Jessica. That makes me the safe, boring choice for after the party ends. So that's it? 3 years together and you just move on like I meant nothing to you? 3 years and you moved on first. You just expected me to stay in place while you did, I pointed out. She tried one last desperate play that showed just how far she was willing to go. What if I was pregnant? I almost walked out of the coffee shop right there. Are you pregnant? No, but what if I was? Okay, hypothetically, even if you were pregnant, what makes you think I'd believe it was mine? You're such an asshole, Tyler. I hope you know that, she said, her voice getting louder. I was honest with you about everything, and this is how you repay me for that honesty. She left the coffee shop angry and immediately blocked me on everything. Within hours, she was posting more inspirational quotes about men who can't handle personal growth, and how sometimes people show their true colors when you're being vulnerable with them. That evening, I was at the house with Dad and Nicole, installing new light fixtures in the dining room. I told them about the coffee shop meeting and everything Jessica had said. She actually said you don't have options because you're an electrician? Nicole asked, clearly offended on my behalf. Word for word, that's exactly what she said. Dad put down his screwdriver and looked at me seriously. That girl has no idea what she just walked away from twice. What do you mean twice? Once when she decided you were just a phase in her life. And again today when she assumed you'd be grateful for her scraps after she was done playing around. He picked up his screwdriver again and went back to work. Her loss entirely. Nicole, can you flip that breaker back on so we can test this? Sure thing, Frank. Good. Now let's see if Tyler wired this fixture correctly or if we need to call a real electrician, he said with a grin. Jessica's rejection at the coffee shop apparently sent her into a complete emotional spiral. According to mutual friends who were still in contact with both of us, she became absolutely obsessed with proving that I was making a huge mistake by not taking her back. Madison was feeding into this obsession hard, constantly telling Jessica that I was obviously just rebounding with Nicole, and that Nicole was just some gym bunny who didn't know the real me like Jessica did. The harassment started small and gradually escalated. Jessica would drive by my house when I was working in the yard, and she'd sit in her car across the street for 25 or 30 minutes just watching me work. I ignored it at first, figuring she'd get bored and move on to something else eventually. My dad noticed the pattern first. That blue Honda keeps driving by the house, he said one afternoon while we were working on the deck railing. Same car's been parked across the street 3 times this week. That's Jessica. She's apparently moved on to stalking now. Very classy behavior, I replied. He didn't look up from the railing he was sanding. Want me to go have a chat with her about appropriate boundaries? Nah, she'll get bored eventually when she realizes I'm not paying attention. If you say so, but if she escalates this behavior, I'm not asking for your permission next time. Then Madison started following me around town like some kind of amateur private investigator. She'd show up at the grocery store I went to, the coffee shop I frequented, always with her phone out, pretending to be casual while obviously taking pictures of me. She'd report back to Jessica about everything, who I was with, what I was buying, even what I was wearing. Madison got bold enough to accidentally bump into Nicole at the gym during peak hours when she knew there would be lots of people around. She made a huge scene apologizing loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear, then started this fake conversation designed to cause drama. Oh my God, you're Tyler's new girl, right? He's such a catch, Madison said with fake enthusiasm. I honestly can't believe Jessica let him go. She's been such a complete mess since the breakup. Like, seriously struggling with depression and everything. Maybe you could talk to him about giving her another chance? I think it would really help her mental health. Nicole handled the situation like an absolute pro. I think Jessica's struggles with her mental health are between her and her therapist, not me and my boyfriend, she replied calmly. Madison's face went completely red, and she walked away without saying another word. Things escalated significantly when Jessica and Madison figured out Nicole's work schedule at the gym. They started showing up there together, coincidentally needing day passes to work out during the exact times Nicole was training clients. They'd make loud comments within earshot about how some people just go for the first rebound they can find, and how sad it is when men can't handle being alone for even a few months. Nicole handled their behavior better than I probably would have. "They're just jealous," she told me. Jessica had something real and meaningful, and she threw it away because her friend convinced her she could do better. Now she's seeing what she actually lost. But the harassment got much worse from there. Madison started messaging Nicole on Instagram with fake concern, trying to plant seeds of doubt about our relationship. "Hey girl, just wanted to give you a heads up about Tyler," one message read. "He's super controlling and manipulative when you get to know him. Ask him about how he made Jessica feel like she couldn't have friends or go out and have fun. He's just putting on an act for you because everything's still new." Nicole showed me all the messages Madison was sending. "She's really trying hard to break us up, isn't she?" "What did you tell her?" I asked. "That she should find a hobby that doesn't involve inserting herself into other people's relationships." Dad's response was more direct and to the point. "Block her immediately. Block them both," he said. "And if they show up at your workplace again, call the police." This has moved way beyond normal breakup drama. Jessica and Madison doubled down on their campaign instead of backing off. They started spreading rumors to our mutual friends about how I was love-bombing Nicole and how they were genuinely worried about her because I was showing all the classic red flags of someone who would become emotionally abusive. The irony was that they were using the same tactics that actual abusers use, trying to isolate their target by making everyone else seem untrustworthy. The flowers started appearing on my front porch about 2 weeks later. No cards attached, just expensive flower arrangements. Every few days, new ones would show up, and I'd throw them directly into the trash. "Secret admirer?" Dad asked sarcastically, seeing me carry another elaborate arrangement to the garbage bin. "Jessica, she's completely losing her mind at this point." "No, she's trying to make you lose yours. Don't let her succeed." Then Nicole started getting packages delivered to her work. Designer workout clothes, expensive supplements, gift cards to fancy restaurants, all anonymous. But we both knew exactly who was sending them. It was like Jessica was trying to buy Nicole's loyalty or prove that she had money to throw around. The final straw that made me decide to take legal action was when Madison called Nicole's boss at the gym. She claimed that I was harassing Nicole and that she was concerned for Nicole's safety as a friend who cared about her well-being. Nicole's boss had to sit her down and ask if everything was okay at home and if she felt safe in her relationship with me. It was completely humiliating for Nicole and potentially damaging to her career and professional reputation. That night, I called a lawyer who specialized in harassment and stalking cases. I explained the entire situation: the constant driving by my house, the harassment of Nicole at work, the attempts to damage her reputation with her employer. "You have more than enough evidence for a restraining order against both of them," he told me. "This is textbook stalking and harassment behavior." "Document absolutely everything," he continued. "Save all the messages, take pictures of the flowers, get written statements from witnesses who saw them harassing Nicole. This kind of behavior typically escalates if it's not stopped legally." I filed the paperwork Monday morning. Jessica and Madison were both served with restraining orders Tuesday afternoon. The legal documents required them to stay at least 500 feet away from me, my house, my workplace, and Nicole at all times. Dad was installing a new kitchen backsplash when I got home with copies of the paperwork. "How'd it go at the courthouse?" "Restraining orders are officially in effect. They've both been served," I told him. "Good. You should have done this weeks ago instead of trying to ignore the problem. Think it'll actually stop them from continuing this behavior? If they have any sense left, yeah. If not, well, they'll learn the hard way that judges don't care about your hurt feelings when you're breaking the law." For about a week after the restraining orders were served, everything was quiet. I thought maybe the legal reality check had finally gotten through to them, and they'd realized they needed to move on with their lives. I was completely wrong about that. Last Friday night, I was at home working on refinishing the back deck when I heard someone moving around on my front porch. It was almost 11:30 p.m., so I figured it was probably a late delivery that had been dropped off. I opened the front door to find Jessica sitting on my porch steps, clearly drunk, surrounded by about 24 red roses scattered around her. She was crying with her makeup running down her face, holding what looked like a bottle of wine. "Tyler, please, I just want to talk to you. I love you. I've always loved you, she slurred. Madison was wrong about everything. I should have never listened to her advice. I want to come home. Jessica, you can't be here. You have a restraining order that specifically prohibits this, I said firmly. I don't care about that stupid piece of paper. This is my home too, she said, trying to stand up but stumbling. We can work this out if you just give me a chance. The wine bottle fell and shattered on my concrete steps, glass scattering everywhere. You need to leave immediately. I'm calling the police right now, I told her, already pulling out my phone. No, please just listen to me for 5 minutes, she begged. Nicole doesn't know you like I do. She's just using you for your house and your money. I'm the one who really loves you for who you are. I was already dialing 911 while she was talking. Jessica heard me talking to the dispatcher and started panicking completely. Tyler, no, please don't do this to me. I'll leave right now, okay? I'll go immediately, she said desperately. But she was too drunk to even walk properly. She fell trying to get off my porch, scraped her knee pretty badly, and started crying even harder than before. The police showed up about 12 minutes later. 2 officers arrived, both professional and clearly not surprised by this type of situation. Sir, can you explain what's happening here? One of them asked. I showed them the restraining order paperwork and explained the entire situation. Jessica was still on my front lawn, now lying in the grass and crying about how she'd made a terrible mistake and just wanted to fix everything. Ma'am, you're under arrest for violating a restraining order, the officer said to Jessica. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. They handcuffed her and put her in the back of the patrol car while she continued crying and trying to explain that she just wanted to talk. One officer stayed to take my detailed statement while the other called for someone to come clean up the broken glass and scattered roses. Has she attempted to contact you since the restraining order was issued? The officer asked while taking notes. No direct contact, but she's been driving by the house regularly. I have security camera footage of that. We'll need copies of that footage. This probably won't be her only violation of the order. The officer's partner came back with a tow truck driver. Turns out Jessica had parked her car illegally blocking part of my driveway before stumbling up to my porch with the flowers and wine. They were impounding her vehicle along with arresting her. The tow truck driver was loading her blue Honda onto his flatbed while she watched from the back seat of the police car, still crying and probably realizing how much this night was going to cost her. That's going to cost her at least $400 to get her car out of impound, the cop mentioned. Plus bail money, plus court costs. Very expensive night for her. I watched them drive away with Jessica in the back seat, still crying and probably facing a night in jail, plus additional criminal charges for violating the restraining order. Dad showed up about 25 minutes later. I had called him after the police finished taking my statement and left. You okay? He asked, looking at the rose petals still scattered across my front porch. Yeah, I'm fine. Just glad this whole situation is finally over. Is it though? Over, I mean? It has to be. She's looking at real jail time now if she keeps this up. Nicole arrived a few minutes after Dad got there. The 3 of us spent time sweeping up the broken glass while Nicole picked up the scattered rose petals. You know what's really weird? Nicole said while we were cleaning up. I almost feel sorry for her. She had something real and meaningful with you, and she threw it away because her friend convinced her she could do better. Madison didn't convince her of anything she didn't already want to believe, Dad said bluntly. She just gave Jessica permission to act on what she was already thinking. Madison was just a convenient excuse. I looked around at my house, the kitchen I'd renovated with my own hands, the garden we'd planted together, the life I'd built from scratch. Nicole was absolutely right. Jessica had traded something real and lasting for something that looked good on social media, but had no substance. Her loss completely, I said. I'm exactly where I want to be. Dad finished sweeping up the last pieces of glass. You should have listened to me from the very beginning. I told you that girl was trouble. Yeah, you definitely did. Of course I did. It's my job as your father to spot the crazy ones before they waste years of your time, he said with a slight smile. Although, to be fair, this one ended up wasting way more of her own time than yours. Jessica was absolutely right about one thing when she told me I wasn't done having fun yet. Turns out neither was I. I just found a completely different and much better definition of what fun actually means. One that didn't involve sitting around waiting for someone to decide I was worth settling for when they finished their party phase. Instead, it involved building the life I actually wanted with people who wanted to be part of it right now, not after they finished whatever phase they were going through. The best part about this whole situation is that it wasn't even revenge on my part. It was just me building the life I wanted with people who wanted to be in it immediately. without conditions or timelines or phases to get through first. Not after they finished exploring their options and decided to come back to the safe choice. Jessica had wanted me to be just a phase in her life story, something temporary she'd come back to when the party ended, and she was ready to get serious about boring adult stuff. Instead, she became exactly what she had designated me as, just a phase in my life. The difference was that I actually grew out of my phase and moved on to something better. She's probably getting processed at the county jail right now, facing real criminal charges for violating a restraining order, and potentially looking at additional penalties if she continues this behavior. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my house with my vegetable garden that's actually producing food, with someone who doesn't see me as a placeholder for when she's ready to get serious about life. My dad is here making sure I don't do anything stupid in response to tonight's drama. And Nicole is here because she genuinely wants to be here, not because she's waiting for something better to come along. All right, Dad said, putting the broom away in the garage after we finished cleaning up. Crisis officially over. Nicole, are you staying for dinner? I'm making my famous chili. Is it actually famous? Nicole asked with a grin. Depends entirely on your definition of famous, Dad replied. Tyler's been eating it for 18 years, and he's not dead yet, so that's something. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement of your cooking skills, I pointed out. You want a ringing endorsement? It's better than anything you've ever cooked in your life, Dad shot back. He's not wrong about that, Nicole said, laughing. See? She gets it. I like this one, Tyler. Don't screw it up, Dad said seriously. I won't, I promised. Good. Now let's go inside before the neighbors start talking about the crazy woman who got arrested in your front yard tonight. As we walked into the house together, I realized that Jessica's prediction had actually come true, just not in the way she'd expected. She was right that I wasn't done having fun yet. I was just getting started, actually. I'd just found a much healthier and more sustainable version of fun that didn't involve drama, games, or treating people like placeholders until something better came along. The kind of fun that involves building something real with someone who sees you as a partner, not a phase to grow out of. The kind of fun that includes home renovation projects, vegetable gardens that actually produce food you can eat, teaching kids how to code, and weekend hiking trips with people who want to be there. It turns out that was exactly the kind of fun I'd been looking for all along. I just hadn't realized it until someone forced me to examine what I actually wanted from life, instead of just accepting whatever someone else was willing to give me when they felt like it. Jessica wanted me to be a bookmark in her life story, but she ended up being nothing more than a chapter I'd already finished reading. And honestly, it wasn't even one of the good chapters.